If you know me very well, you know I don't like to preach on current events very often. Today the Lord has just been burdening my heart. I had another message, another outline ready, but today's been particularly hard, watching the news and listening to things and realizing we live in a really evil, wicked world. And we don't watch much television, but turn on the news and you hear about a young girl having her body just dumped in a intersection. You hear about people just killing folk. Just sad news about police officers shot in the head in an area where people go to get away from the hustle and bustle and crime-ridden world we live in. Go down to a sweet little town right on a square, and some officer shot in the head, another officer injured right there on the square, and get sad news. 19 firefighters just trying to protect some homes and do their job, and 19 families, 19 holes in the ground. 19 daddies not coming home, 19 husbands, 19 sons. It's very difficult. You look at things going on in Egypt. Millions upon millions of people protesting in the streets, trying to take their nation back. Even the military turning on its own supreme commander. And they won today, by the way, and people are cheering, and they're going to have to do more than cheer. They're going to have to put the right person in and the people. It started with the people, and by the way, it'll stay with the people if they'll keep doing it. The problem is people around the world are too quick to be lazy and just allow somebody else to do everything for them and then complain about how it goes. Got to be careful not to fall into that. I don't want to waste time. Let's go right to Proverbs chapter number 6. Proverbs chapter number 6 tonight. I'll go ahead and give you the title of the title of the message as you are standing and finding Proverbs chapter number 6. The title of the message is "Pray for Our State and Our Nation." Pray for our state and our nation. In Proverbs chapter number 6, I want to read a few verses beginning in verse number 16. The Bible says, "These 6 things doth the Lord hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that deviseth wicked imagination, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren." Pray for our nation, our state, and our nation. Father, we love you, and we thank you for your goodness. And we thank you for your word. Lord, I pray tonight you might speak to our hearts and give us a resolve that we need living in this wicked world. Lord, I pray that you'd burden our hearts to do more, to be more. And I pray you do it in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. You may be seated. I don't know who said the quote, but it's been said that all that's needed for wicked to succeed is for good men to do nothing. This week and last week we watched the news and we made national news here in Texas because of our legislature working down in Austin. And you look at people putting forth their champions, if you will, and a lady named Wendy Davis stepped forth as a champion for the Democrats and the pro-abortion people. She stood and spoke for 12 hours in an effort to ensure that women would have the right to abort a baby even after 20 weeks. The agenda, the bill that was there was not to eliminate abortion. I actually wish that it had been, just to outlaw abortion altogether. But it wasn't. It was at 20 weeks. 20 weeks. Understand that at 20 weeks, a baby is almost fully formed. The baby looks like what the baby's going to look like. And the baby is just smaller. The issue with the baby at 20 weeks is lung development. But medical advances now allow for a baby at 20 weeks. That's a viable baby outside the womb. It's a baby. I believe it's a baby day after at conception. Amen. As they came down to the end of this legislative session, the filibuster was on. There were some, and there's strange rules. I don't understand all the rules, but you're not allowed to stray off topic. I'm glad they don't have rules like that in preaching, and they probably should. Amen. But she failed. Somebody came up and gave her a back brace. She was in pain. And we were working that day, and every once in a while you'd listen and say, oh, she's got one strike against her because she went off topic. Oh, she's got 2 strikes against her. Somebody had to bring a back brace. I was thinking, you have to really want babies to die, to stand in pain, and have to have somebody bring you a back brace so you can continue to stand up and stall the clock in hopes that millions more babies would die. And then finally there was another procedural error. She went off topic or something, and so they went up, and so then people came up, and there was a procedural inquiry, and what is your inquiry? And they would go back and forth, and the clock just kept ticking away. And it looked like we're going to have a vote any minute. And they kept going, and one side would do this and one side would do that, and they would argue and they would convene, and time started running out. And then with about somewhere 11 to 15 minutes left to go, one of the ladies who had been standing up, it was a Democratic lady, and she had, her father had passed away, and she'd been at the funeral that day. And so she came in, and so her first procedural inquiries were always about, I wasn't here. Can you tell me everything that happened all day long? Can you tell me what the errors were? Why? How did she get 3 strikes? And it's obvious it was delay tactics going on by a lot of people. And that same lady came forth at the end with 11 to 15 minutes, I forget the time, and she asked a question that basically implied that the Republican head there, the person in charge, was ignoring her because she was a woman. She was like, how many times, or what does basically what does a woman have to do to be heard over the others? And the crowd at that point erupted and remained erupted. And went through, and there was a lot of confusion. There were a few people arrested. There were just a lot of nonsense going on, but things that were not allowed. I mean, they were asking for calm. They were asking, for order in the gallery, and so it kind of kept going. And so what ended up happening is the time got so low, they went ahead and just clicked on the vote. I don't even know if procedurally they could have or should have under those circumstances. But they did. And so they voted. Everybody voted. All the votes were in. And then they were going back and they were calling it. It looked like everything was fine. It was good. It wasn't good. Back and forth, back and forth. And then it turns out that the guy who was in charge did not sign it before the midnight hour had come. And so it failed to move forward. So it looked like a great victory. Now, Governor Prairie has called a special session. And so we kind of look, and again, making national news. And people are getting very organized. And as they go down, you have a blue, people dressed in blue. This is the pro-life group. They dress in blue, just so people know that there's solidarity there. And so they have the blue on, and they wear a red tag, and it says life on it. And then the other side, the pro-abortion group, they have orange. And so they're wearing orange. And so you have the blue team and the orange team there, and they're doing their thing. There is a difference, and I'll admit I have a bias, but there's a difference in these people. The blue group, as cameras pan across them, they're having prayer groups. They're circled in prayer. And the other group is holding up signs and shouting. And there are signs from the blue, life, adoption, and those things. And the other group has, in my opinion, very vulgar signs. And I believe in freedom of speech, absolutely. And there's no but coming after that. I believe in freedom of speech. And as you look at what people say, though, it is easy to see what the mindset is in some people. Because I just think, why would you travel down to Austin to make sure that babies will die? And nobody's outlawing babies dying. They're just outlawing after 20 weeks. When a baby has a fully developed central nervous system, can very clearly feel pain, can respond. Scientists for years have said, read to your babies, talk to your babies, play music for your babies, because it helps them. Your baby inside your belly can recognize your voice. Talk to your babies. And a baby after 20 weeks can be born and survive and be fine. So people are praying. They're huddled up in prayers, huddles of blue, and they're praying. And then when they stop praying, they start singing Amazing Grace. We're hearing reports out of Austin that while people are down in prayer meetings, people are coming up to around their circles and just cursing and yelling vile things and throwing coat hangers. See, what they would have people believe is that if a lady can't have an abortion for a near full-term baby, a viable baby, when they do the new sonograms now, where you can see expressions on the baby's faces, you can look and go, wow, that looks like the mama, that looks like the daddy. And I saw a picture the other day. It was a baby. It was a sonogram, and the baby had its head up like this and had its hand kind of down. And then there was a picture postnatal. The baby was born. And the baby was laying there, had its head up and its finger. Not much difference, is there? Before in the womb, and there the baby slept the same way. Why? Because it's the same baby. It's alive. Amen. This is we want to say, it's just a fetus, a blob of mass. There's no life there. What amazes me is how aggressively people would lift up, we're going to stand with Wendy and we're going to do this and that. And people are excited because something happened that will guarantee that a lot of babies will die. And there's never any talk of personal responsibility. What you hear is, to protect the life of the mother. You hear people talk about, that's what they always say, rape, incest, and the life of the mother. Study that out. Look at the real facts of how many that is. Listen, abortion has become birth control. Planned Parenthood is not helping people plan to be parents. It's preventing them from becoming parents. It's preventing them from having responsibility. It's sad to me, and hopefully all believers, that what God creates, somebody could come in and just kill. People say it's my body. Hey lady, if you want to have your arms chopped off and you want somebody to suck you through a hose somewhere and throw you in the garbage, that's your business. But the body that's being chopped up and sucked through the hose is not your body. It's the body of a baby. There's a gross double standard from and again, you sound outrageous when you say it. If a husband punches a lady in the belly and the baby dies, he's guilty of murder. If a drunk driver crashes into a car and the baby dies, that's murder. But mama can go down to Planned Parenthood, get a free abortion, and that's a right. Now let the baby be born, and daddy's responsible for everything. Let the baby decide not to have it, that mama's not going to have the baby, and it's murder. Friend, you can call it whatever you want to. It's murder when anybody does it. It's wicked as a place called hell every time it happens. People want to bring rape, abortion, incest, the life of the mother. They want to bring that in as if that's no, that's not who's having abortions. That's not the lion's share of what's happening. That's a tiny percentage of who's having abortions. People that are involved in loose living and don't want to take responsibility. It's inconvenient to have a baby. They can't afford this. They can't afford that. Listen, well, I tell you what we can't afford morally as a nation is to continue to kill babies. And this bill doesn't even stop that. Just after 20 weeks. I can't imagine. I saw a photo where some people were down and they were wearing aprons and had like butcher aprons and they had blood splattered all over them, wearing a mask. And these people are out throwing hangers out as if that's the option. There are a lot of people looking to adopt children. In fact, it is our estimation. You start looking at facts, and we went through an adoption agency, and listen, I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. We adopted 4 boys. But we were in a classroom full of people and classrooms full of people. And then when we have get-togethers, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of adoptive families and people desiring to have children and people desiring to raise children. And instead, these babies that could be adopted, that could be loved, that could be raised, that could be taught, that could be nurtured, that could be future presidents, that could be doctors, could be lawyers, they could be wonderful people, their husbands and wives. They end up in a trash can. They end up in a red biohazard 3CI can that goes off to an incinerator somewhere. Like we were burning our children, and that's what happens. They're burning sons and daughters, like making a sacrifice to Molech or something. It's wicked, right out of hell. And I don't want to paint with too broad of a brush, saying that everybody was down wearing an orange shirt was doing that. I don't want to say that. Nor was everybody in a blue shirt praying. I want to be fair in that, but I know this: the crowd was being vile. Little girls walking around with signs that had curse words on them. Filthy signage being held by even children. People yelling hateful things, cursing. And in fact, in one of the most heinous things, in one of the most horrible things, as people were dressed in blue and praying and weeping and crying out and crying out unto the Lord for the lost, just praying that people would come to their senses and stop the needless murder of children, which again this law doesn't even do, except after 20 weeks. They began to sing Amazing Grace. And not everybody, but the crowd, the majority, began to chant, Hail Satan, Hail Satan, Hail Satan. There's video on the internet of it. There's news reports of it. Mainstream media is not going to cover much of it unless they absolutely have to. But up yelling, Hail Satan. See, people say, it's about choice, it's about health, it's about hell. Satan is what it's about. Yeah. Hey, when Christians get together and they're praying, hey, it's about love, it's about doing this. And then you'll hear somebody say, well, Christians are a bunch of hypocrites because they don't want to pay for abortion. They want everybody to force these women to have these babies and they don't want to help pay for them. You're a stinking liar. Tons of our taxes go to taking care of young ladies who don't have money and giving them prenatal care. And then after the baby's born, there are food programs. There are diaper programs. There's formula programs. There's WIC. There's this and that. There's tons of help to make sure children are cared for. There are agencies that are looking for children of all races that have adoptive families waiting to adopt these children. By the way, how sick is it to use a financial excuse to chop a baby up and suck them through a hose and throw them in the garbage to be burned? They say it's about health. By the 20th week, those health issues are probably either resolved or the woman to be dead in most cases. These are viable children. If the mother's health is seriously in danger after 20 weeks, they could probably either induce labor or do a C-section and save both. Viable children. They say it's about health. That's a lie. I'll tell you what it is. It's about hate. They hate God. You say, oh, they don't hate God. Hail Satan is what they were chanting. You've got a groove over here. Amazing grace. Hail Satan, hail Satan. They're chanting that stuff. They hate God and His people. They hate God and His people. They hate to be inconvenienced with the child. Hey, can I just tell you, we adopted 4 of them. Kids are real inconvenient. By the way, we had the option to not adopt 4 boys. Just about everybody has the option not to get pregnant too. It's inconvenient. They hate decency. They hate decency. The problem is not about, for believers, we say, well, we believe it's about God. We believe that God forms babies, and God said, before I formed thee, I knew thee. And even you read through the scripture, and people even recognize back thousands of years ago, before they had a sonogram, before they had everything else, that before their body parts were formed, God knew all about them. See, for us, we believe it's about God. We believe it's about God's will. We believe it's about innocent blood. We believe it's about innocent babies. For them, it's all about the heathen. It's all about the heathen, the godless being ungodly. People just want to live. And the problem is, all too often, it looks like an attack on women. But the men who are impregnating women are equally guilty. Men who pay for the abortions, give a ride, it's murder. It's rebellion against the Creator of this world. We've been to meetings, we've been to rallies where ladies have survived. I've talked to two who have survived abortions. Not the chop off your arms and suck you through a hose abortion, but another that's a little less traumatic for the mothers. And by all means, if you're going to kill your baby, you sure don't want to be made to feel guilty about that. They do saline abortions. And they use high salt levels, and they rush that up into the area where the baby is. And the saline literally burns the baby to death. It burns their skin, disfigures, and kills. But every once in a while, these late-term abortions, they induce the labor. They lay a baby on a table. We were at a meeting just a few months ago right here in our own city. And this lady began to tell, she met the nurse later, that they were born there, baby's still alive. Burned, red, disfigured, skin all messed up. By the way, the baby also was, things were going in the baby's body, messed up organ, had organ damage, but the baby's still moving. They're like, we'll just set him on the table. Baby will die here in just a minute with no care. The baby sat there and just kept moving and kept moving and kept moving. Finally, a nurse couldn't stand it after, I believe it was like 45 minutes or an hour of a baby laying there, where just a rinse of water would have been so soothing. The nurse jumps in and begins life-saving measures. And that lady still has some health issues, make no doubt about that. But she's healthy enough to get up and speak. And if just to meet her, you wouldn't know. She's got some internal damage. But she's a beautiful lady. And she was trying to encourage people and trying to help agencies who were there, just trying to talk these girls out of killing their babies and committing murder and trying to help them. But she survived that abortion. There's another lady who has to walk with walking canes, and she had much more damage, but they survived. Why? Because they're viable. They're killing live, viable babies that you can take out, flop up on a table like a bunch of garbage, and just leave them there for an hour. Untold thousands, if not millions, die that way. Because there's nobody there to suction out of their mouth and nose and get everything clean and get them swaddled properly and get them cleaned off properly. They just sit there covered in the same chemical that was there to destroy them. The problem is they end up having to just deny science. People say, "Preacher, are you for science?" I'm for real science, absolutely. This is science. This is science. Air conditioning, praise God, that's science. I drive a vehicle, that's science. Isn't it kind of hypocritical, though, that they can fly a rocket up into outer space, fly over to Mars, and if they can find an outline on a rock of a plankton, microscopic, that is irrefutable proof of life, and everybody's excited. And yet you could have a 20-week-old baby kicking you in your kidneys, moving around, got you pooched out to here, with its own central nervous system, with a beating heart, with a face that looks like it's mama or daddy. And that doesn't prove anything. That's not life. You're a liar. That is life. And to end it is murder. There are people serving time right now in prison who have killed children in their mother's womb, and they are doing time because it's murder. Amen. Some cell on a distant planet is life. But a lady could lift up her shirt and look at her tummy and you could see the baby kicking. And that's not life? You're a liar. A liar. The verses we read, these 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue. Hey, if you say that's not alive, you're a liar. Hands that shed innocent blood. My goodness, what could be more innocent than a child? So dependent. A heart that deceiveth wicked imaginations. You'd have to have a wicked imagination to think abortion was okay. Feet to be swift in running to mischief. You know, mischief. Like running around to people that are down on their knees praying and throw coat hangers at them and cuss at them and chant, "Hail Satan." Heart that deviseth wicked imagination, the feet that are swift to running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among the brethren. Isn't that weird that we talk about innocent blood and this and then discord among the brethren? You know what our problem is? We're too friendly with the wicked. We're too friendly with the wicked of this world. We turn a blind eye to drugs. We turn a blind eye to drunks. We turn a blind eye to meanness. We turn a blind eye to people. There are people in the movie industry and in the music industry that have absolutely said, I have made a deal with Satan, and my deal was I would get success, and my goal is to draw many people to him. And yet, we just turn a blind eye, won't even turn the station. We're too friendly with the world. And because we're too friendly with the world, we're scared to speak out on subjects like killing babies. See, babies are dying not because people are loose living and sleeping together. Babies are still dying because nobody wants anybody to take responsibility. And I resent the notion that these babies wouldn't be cared for. I resent that. I resent that every time I pay taxes. Taxes taken out of my check. I resent that. Every time we take sacks of groceries to people's homes that are down on their luck or parents are just sorry. It's always one of the two. Either they're down on their luck or their parents are sorry. And we take food to both. Why? Because children shouldn't suffer. Whether their parents are going through a bad time or whether the parents are sorry, kids ought not have to suffer. By the way, I don't think they should suffer outside the womb, and I don't think they should suffer inside the womb. I don't think they ought to die by chemicals. I don't think they ought to die. Hey, the same crowd that doesn't want to stop at 20 weeks, by the way, they don't want to stop at 38 weeks. They don't want to stop at 40 weeks. They will allow, and I'm not trying to be super graphic tonight, but they would actually have the baby born face down, allow the head to come out, stab the baby in the back of the neck with scissors, and snap their spinal cord. A live baby. Don't let them give you that junk about, well, it's about the health of the mother. There's nothing healthy about a baby's head coming out of a woman and having its neck stabbed and having its spinal cord snipped. But that's what happens. That's what they're fighting for. When they gather around and scream and yell so that the majority can't vote. See, we allow the loud minority, a vocal minority, to overrule the majority. And by the way, even if the majority was against it, majority was against babies, we would still need to stand up and vote our voice, vote our Bible convictions. But most are against it. And yet the vocal minority still gets their way. Hail Satan, hail Satan, while people are trying to sing Amazing Grace. Friend, we live in a wicked world. You say, what do? Do we take to the streets? No, you need to take to your knees and pray. Then, hey, if you're available, next week it's going to be a big deal. Hey, if you can, go down to Austin. Be there. Stand for life. Pray for people. Use your social media for something that other than just describing what you had for supper, or how mad you are at your husband, or what your kids did today. Use it to be a voice for right. You say, I don't have a social media. If you can text everybody you know. Ask them to pray. So who are we praying for? You better pray for Texas and our nation, because we're in a whole heap of mess. By the way, God doesn't fool around very much. Hey, if God thinks we don't want people around because we keep killing all the babies, He might just decide to help us out and kill everybody. Friend, we need to pray. We need to be a people of prayer. We need to be a people of convictions. And we ought not be afraid on any of these issues. To me, murder is not a social issue. People want to say, homosexuality, that's a social issue. We ought to be vocal on that. You see people with equal signs. Well, put an unequal sign. Or replace it with a man and a woman sign. He said, my friends will get mad. Okay. I just wonder if God's going to get mad. Murder is not a social issue. Murder is not a convenience issue. Murder is not a medical issue. Murder is not about rights. Murder is about right and wrong. Friends, we ought to be in prayer. And by the way, it wouldn't hurt to get involved financially and help some of the organizations who try to help save lives, who counsel girls. Man, we heard from some young ladies at that meeting where the lady survived the abortion. Some young ladies stood up and said, I came in there, I didn't know what to do. I was scared. And they counseled me and they talked to me. And here's my baby. And I love my baby. And I am getting help. And I am getting my education. And I am going to raise my baby. And I am going to do the right thing. Boy, it's exciting to see people take personal responsibility. How dare anybody force us to use our tax money to kill babies? I don't want to be radical, but I know this. If my tax money is going to kill babies, I don't want to pay taxes anymore. I'm not talking about getting radical. I'm saying pray. Pray for Texas. Pray for the state. Pray for the legislature. And pray for our nation. Somebody says, well, they'll just drive to Oklahoma and have an abortion. Well, hey, if Oklahoma wants to let them come have an abortion, that's their deal. Texas ought to still stand up and say no. Well, they'll just drive to Louisiana. Make them drive to Louisiana then. We don't want it here. We don't need killing babies here. Hey, if we could get rid of all the murders, if we get rid of axe murders, we can get rid of this other kind. Hey, send them all to other states. That'd be fine. I'm not going to hurt my feelings. We need to be a people of prayer. Now, a lot of the crowd down there has proven themselves to be evil. I don't believe that the attitude of all women who have abortions are evil. The act of the abortion is very evil. It's wicked, hellish, gruesome. But I think some ladies are scared. Some ladies are confused. Some ladies are pressured or even forced into having abortions. They're lied to. They're miseducated. We need to pray for people. We need to pray for men to be ethical and be men. We need to pray for ladies. We need to pray for young couples not to be having babies that they don't want. Don't get pregnant with a baby. You don't want to have a baby, don't get pregnant. Take steps. Surely there's a better step in not being pregnant than taking tools and hoses and chopping babies to pieces. There's got to be some. We need to pray that people would be more responsible. We need to pray that people would be more ethical. We need to pray that people would be more cognizant of just what they're doing. We need to pray that laws are enacted. Wouldn't it be nice if we didn't need any laws? You realize laws are for the guilty. You know, it'd be nice if churches wouldn't be so stinking lazy. And by the way, I don't mean the building. Churches are people. If we would do more to reach people for Christ before they have babies they don't want and can't take care of. There's not an easy answer. It's easy just to say, you know, some of the other chants they were saying today is abortions, free abortions, no questions, and that's it. And that's what they want. The other side is, you know, it just has a pie in the sky view that everything's just going to come up flowers and roses just because babies are born. What we need is some real common sense, comprehensive laws in place that would help people. Or better yet, if we just reach people for Christ and help them live godly, we wouldn't have this thing. You're not living a godly life if you're having a baby you don't want. The Bible says that if you don't provide for your own, especially those of your own household, you're worse than an infidel. You can't be a godly person and not take care of yours. I just wish young ladies could realize how dangerous abortions are for their bodies. While they're chopping the babies up, some of the ladies get nicked and bleed and hemorrhage and everything else. It's horrible, horrible. We need to be a people of prayer. Let's pray. Father, we love you. And Lord, we love unborn children. We love born children. Father, we love sinners. And we pray, Lord, that you'd help us to be kind and loving and help us to reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ and then the truth of your word even beyond the gospel. Help us, Lord, to do what needs to be done to try to help save unborn children.